I need to go to the gun range and just let off some steam, but I'm here with a pen and a dream in the booth, just feeling like Ben White, feeling like Gabriel Gunner defending my team. Who wanted with me? Not none of them wanted with me, not one of them wanted with me. I'm checking online, I see them all coming for grime. That's cool, they ain't coming for me, and we all know what I let that fly, like boom, How many times I put my neck on the line? Fuck it, I guess I'm a cat. I got 9 eyes. These shades ain't for fashion. I got blood in my eyes. I left the seeds.
This summer, Arsenal, big money spent. Yeah, number one buyer. Defense is solid. No getting through. Nah, no Eric Dyer. This is our year. Young squad, trust me, man, them there to inspire. One more added to that squad. Who's that? What's the name?
Fam. Stop. Just stop. You know what happened last time, cuz you need to allow it.
But please, like, at least give me some tips or something, bro.
Fam, nothing is gonna save your rap career, bro. Nothing. Okay, just go.
What, get out?
That way.
No bars.
That way. Just go, fam. This guy's mad, cuz. Jeez, yeah. Hey, babe. Yeah.
Boom.
Run that for me.
These shades ain't for fashion. I got blood in my eyes. I left the seeds, and now there's industry plants. Okay, that's fine. All right. You the type that's probably should.
Yes, people. Welcome back to AFTV, and with some breaking news.
That was the shortest fire in the booth I've ever seen.
I have no fire in the booth, as you can see. Chip wasn't a fan of it, but here's what it is. The news is here. David Raya is here, Laurie. He is our new signing. It's a goalkeeper coming in potentially. Well, I read online, it's not really a backup, it's competition for Aaron Ramsdale. At first we thought it was going to be a £30 million deal, but David Ornstein on Wednesday said no, it's going to be a loan deal. He broke that news, and it is a loan deal at £3 million with a £27 million option to buy. I mean, it's good news. It's good news, obviously, the fact that, we're strengthening. It shows intent from Arsenal that we know we're not staying still. We're getting competition in every position. And David Raya is a very, very good goalkeeper. Laura, your thoughts on this news? Before we get everyone else's thoughts, I want to make everyone aware this is a FANZONE live. So head over to the AFTV Plus app, download it. All you got to do is click on and you can join us live here. And we want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this new signing. There's a lot going on at Arsenal, but we want to hear from you guys. But until you guys get in there, Laurie, how you feeling, David Raya?
Hey man, that's great news. I'm not so sure if Aaron Ramsdale will think it's such great news. But no, listen, it's Raya is an exceptional keeper. You've only got to look at the stats that were produced from last season. Most saves, most passes. The list goes on. I mean, he's a very talented keeper. A few other clubs were looking at him.
Yep.
Bayern Munich, Spurs, Man United, to name but 3. It seems like we've got him. So that's a good coup for the club. He's got a lot of attributes that will serve Arsenal well.
Yeah.
Playing out from the back.
Comfortable.
He's very athletic. Yeah, man, he looks like the real deal.
Yeah, for me, it was something I've mentioned in the welcome video, which you guys can go check out now on the channel. That I didn't really see it coming, this signing, but the more it progressed, the more the saga continued, I realised, this is definitely a signing that's going to happen. Obviously, Matt Turner going to Nottingham Forest. He played against us on the weekend. I'm sure people remember. Obviously, he scored 2 goals against him. So he's gone there. So we didn't really have a number 2 officially. Obviously, there's Hyde and Okonkwo and whatnot, but an actual official number 2 that can level what Aaron Ramsdale brings to this Arsenal side. So once I saw him go to Nottingham Forest, I said, oh, this is serious. And then we saw him, he was spotted at the Community Shield final as well at Wembley. And also, his family was at the game against Nottingham Forest. So it felt like it was getting closer and closer. And then this morning, we saw his agent at training with David Raya, with him with the training top on.
First on the Matt Turner, I think it's fair to say that he hadn't done too much wrong, really, had he?
No.
He looked like a very good backup keeper to me. But I think what Arsenal have done is that they've got this policy now whereby they're going to strengthen at every opportunity, which is obviously good news for the club and for the fans. And they've seen an opportunity here to seize a guy, which, let's face it, we know that the club have been looking at him since as far back as 2020.
Yeah, 100%.
So this is, as I said before, a big coup for the club to bring in a player of this quality, Spanish international, I've said it already. His stats last season are very impressive. I think they were the most impressive of all the goalkeepers in the Premier League last season. So it's definitely a step in the right direction, definitely a step up. And look, it shows that the club are going places, man, and they mean business.
I understand it. Anaki Kano as well, he's our goalkeeping coach. He obviously he liked David Raya a lot, and he did obviously mention it to Arsenal and Arteta and said, you know, it's a keeper they wanted to bring in. Then again, Aaron Ramsdale, but they went back to their first target. And like I mentioned this morning, we saw his agent drop that photo of him in the Arsenal kit. So I knew of him in training, and I knew from when I saw that, it weren't going to be long till he's been announced, but he is here. Going to be great competition for Aaron Ramsdale. And like you said, his stats are incredible. I think he got 12 clean sheets last season. Aaron Ramsdale got 14. He's very good at commanding his area. I think that's something that, listen, I'll be honest, we have Aaron Ramsdale, and he is very good at claiming the balls from crosses and corners, but I feel like David Raya, I think, edges him a bit in that. I watched Onana last night doing it, and I thought he commanded his box so well when it came to high claims, and that is something
Should have conceded a penalty, but anyway.
I respect you for that one. I know this is the welcome video, it's the welcome to Arsenal David Raya video, but that was outrageous how that wasn't a penalty. But like I said, so I watched him do his higher claims in the box yesterday from corners and crosses, and I thought, that is something that would really benefit this Arsenal side, because it starts attacks quickly. You pick it out from a corner and you can quickly counter-attack. David Raya has really high stats in that as well, and I think that will...
He's seen as one of the best keepers in the Premier League in terms of playing the ball out from the back, in terms of that, almost like a sweeper keeper, if you like. He is seen as one of the best, if not the best, in some people's opinion. So that will definitely add something to the way Arsenal play. And listen, you mentioned Aaron Ramsdale. Spare a thought for Aaron Ramsdale, who has been very good for Arsenal. Can you imagine, though? I mean, they always talk about that so-called relationship between the keepers at any club and how supportive they normally are. But there is that kind of sort of, how can I put it? There is that kind of energy whereby you know that there's a number one and there's a number two, and the number two is often there to assist the number one. But in this case, you get the feeling that there might be that little bit of tension there, because they're both vying for that number one spot.
100%. Now, listen.
So how does that work in terms of how they, listen, I'm sure they'll be professional towards each other, but I wouldn't mind betting that there will be that little bit of creative tension there, that little bit of competition.
That's a positive, though. That is a positive. You want that in a football club. You want competition. Like I love Bukayo Saka. I think he's incredible. He scored an amazing goal on the weekend. But I feel like if someone came in to push him as well, he would go to another level. And I don't know what that another level is, because...
No, you're right. The point I was making is that you often hear that there's almost like this goalkeepers union, whereby there's an established number one and then there's the number two, but the two of them work together. And the number two keeper is almost accepting of his role as the number two, if you like. I'm saying that the dynamic in this particular situation, it will be somewhat different, because it's almost like you'll have a 1A and a 1B, and they're both vying for that number one spot, and they will know that if they're just slightly off it, a couple of % off it in terms of the way they train or whatever, then that other guy's, going to be right there ready to step in and could now hold down the shirt for weeks to come. So dynamic is something that interests me, I must admit.
Yeah, you make a good point. I do want to take this moment to remind everyone this is a fan zone live as well, so it's your chance to get in and have your say on this new signing, how you feel as an Arsenal fan about the David Raya signing here at Arsenal. All you got to do is download the AFTV Plus app. It's on iOS and on the Play Store. So download it, set it up. It takes 2 seconds. Man. Yeah, come and join us. This is what this is all about. It's about you guys and giving your thoughts. We speak plenty on new signings and incoming, so we want to hear from you guys, but I do want to get the rest of the information out. I think a lot of fans wanted to see David Raya play against Nottingham Forest, or at least be what
I want to know is, people ringing up, they've got to tell us, who do you think will be the number one? Because there is a large school of thought out that suggests that Raya should come in and be number one pretty much straight away, or do you think that he is the number two and he'll have to wait his turn?
Okay, well, we'll get into that. But
I'd love to know what the fans think. What do you think?
We're gonna get into that as well. But the registration wasn't done in time for David Raya to be in the squad for the Nottingham Forest game. But now that has been completed, it's likely he will be in the squad come Monday against Crystal Palace. Whether he'll start or not.
No, I mean, listen, I don't think he'll start straight away. But what I'm saying is, he's not come here to, you know what I mean, be a backup, has he?
A water boy. No.
I mean, listen, man, the guy's a top keeper. He's a Spanish international. He will have his eyes on that number one spot, I'm sure, no matter what comes out of his mouth publicly. I'm sure privately he will be targeting that number one spot. He's not going to want to come on. Listen, man was a regular for Brentford. You know what I mean? He's not going to want to come.
But I don't want people to forget how good Aaron Ramsdale has been.
No, I'm not in any way minimising what Aaron Ramsdale has done for Arsenal. He's been brilliant, and that's why this transfer today has set the tongues wagging. It's got so many people interested because we're all curious to know what's going to happen long term. And like I said, I don't expect Raya to come in and secure the shirt straight away. But you can't help but thinking in the long term, what is the manager's thoughts?
But this
is it going to be a straight shootout?
Yeah.
Or has he got plans ahead?
But this is why this signing is so fascinating. It breeds so much conversation because it feels like it's definitely a tactical one. It doesn't feel like a stopgap. It doesn't feel like It doesn't feel like a panic buy.
Nope.
It doesn't feel like an opportunist sort of signing. It doesn't feel like any of those. It feels like, oh, we've liked this keeper. Is he available? If he is, remember, like other clubs wanted him. Tottenham put in a big bid for him at 40 million, turned them down. Bayern Munich, you spoke about, Man United, but he chose to come to Arsenal. It felt like that this is a signing that is definitely going to want to be in the number one's top 100%. He's going to want to challenge Ramsdale, but maybe take off that top and be that number one goalkeeper. Is he going to be a cup goalkeeper, Laurie? Is he going to be a man that just plays all the cups? I don't see him having coming in that attitude thinking he's just going to be a cup keeper, but I don't see Aaron Ramsdale saying, well, I'm not going to be the cup keeper, I'm going to be the Premier League goalkeeper and the number one for the cups as well if needed, especially in the latter stages. So this is why this
don't forget, one of those cups this year is the
Champions League.
Exactly. And who's going to want to come in and not take part in the Champions League?
But is there a massive gap between David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale? You spoke about the stats, they are high, but I don't think, in my opinion, and I've watched them both, I don't see. There is a bit of difference, but it's not major amounts. I think Ramsdale, penalty-wise, probably worse off compared to David Raya. Of course, we know that Aaron Ramsdale needs to work on penalty saving, even though he's done pretty well since the start in the pre-season. The start of the season, he's done all right so far in that pre-season, shall we say, the Community Shield and the Emirates Cup. But that is definitely a benefit that David Raya can bring. He's a lot older, so probably more experienced, but I don't think there's much in it when it comes to playing out the back, but distribution.
Where I would say there is a bit of a distinction is in the way they play. So, for example, we spoke earlier about David Raya being seen as one of the best, if not the best, sweeper keepers in the Premier League. I'm told that he used to play a lot of futsal when he was younger, so he's always been adept with the ball at his feet. Now, that can translate very well to how the team plays, how you play out from the back. I spoke earlier about the sweeper keeper role. That is very central, very pivotal to where a lot of teams want to play nowadays, including Arsenal. So him being a little bit more adept with the ball at his feet could prove to be the crucial difference. If there's not too much difference in terms of shot stopping, commanding the box and all the other facets that make up a good goalkeeper. So
I think it's
a very interesting conversation, and one that I'll be very interested to hear what our callers think.
Definitely our callers, but also let's not forget we have the comment section as well on YouTube. So I want to come to you guys as well. I see a lot of you in there. Apologies for the echoes at the beginning, but we are now back in. So I want to take some comments here. A lot of people saying David Raya, they're excited to see it. They're happy. They said, I heard Raya pay 5% of his. Someone said, I heard Raya paid 5% of salary to the goalkeeper coach, Inaki, but that's obviously a joke there because Inaki definitely pushed for him, got him the move from Blackburn to Brentford as well. So he's a big fan of David Raya and he was a big fan of Aaron, and he's a big fan of Aaron Ramsdale as well. So I see T Yassin says Raya for number one. Raya will be number one. A lot of people, I know you've asked that question, is he going to be the number one or number two? But AXXO Movie says he's an upgrade number two. And then straight underneath that, Barrack Law says number one, Ramsdale for Premier League starts, Raya Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao starts, period. Now, would you be happy if you pushed, Arsenal to get into the Champions League after so many years, and then you can't even play in it because you've got a keeper that's just signed and playing that competition? Would that make you feel proud?
But you know what it is?
There?
Whichever way it goes, whoever gets the starting berth, the one who didn't is going to be very disappointed. So let's start with Ramsdale. If he doesn't get the starting berth, he's going to think, "Oh man, like I've done so much for this club. I've established." I mean, let's be honest. When he came to the club, Bernd Leno was number one, and you know, in pretty much no time at all, he established himself as the number one keeper over Leno, and Leno ended up going to Fulham. Now he's got that same battle.
Yeah, exactly.
Facing him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And just off the back of that, Laurie, Yee says here, Raya will surely be number one. Ramsdale will suffer Leno's fate. Literally just what you mentioned there. And I'm sure I mentioned this in the welcome video as well. Ramsdale did do an interview and spoke about, you know, how you feeling that David Raya's potentially on the horizon and going to be here at Arsenal. And he said, I'm here for the challenge. Like, bring it on. Like,
I would expect him to say that. Yeah. He's a top professional.
I think that's what we said off camera. A lot of us here at the studio said he's going to say that. He's going to say that, obviously. But will he actually be worried about it? We don't really know.
He will never, as I was indicating earlier, he will never publicly come out and say that he's worried. He will be professional and he will say what we expect him to say. But I'm sure deep down there will be a concern there because, listen, he's a player, he's a human being. He's going to want to play every week. But, you know, there is that spectre looming over him
100%.
in the form of David Raya.
I have to cut you because I believe we have our first caller. I believe it's Jay waiting. Hey, my man, Jason, what's going on? I'm very well, Jason. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Hi, Laurie, you all right?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
Jason, listen, you're a regular on the fan cams, regular on the Twitter Spaces. Obviously, we had one this morning. But Jason, it'd be great to hear from you and your thoughts on this. I know you like to delve deep into even the tactical side and get yourself stuck into, you know, the news around Arsenal. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on David Raya now being an Arsenal goalkeeper.
Look, I think for any squad that wants to really push on and start to compete for trophies across the board, they need that breadth and that depth of squad. You know, how confident would any of us, if we had an injury to Ramsdale right now, that any of the younger goalkeepers could or would be able to step up and really compel us and take us forward? You know, as centre halves want and need to have trust in their goalkeeper, and fundamentally you want them to have that in any goalkeeper that comes in. And I'm not sure that they would have had that in Matt Turner. You know, I think he's a good enough goalkeeper. I think he, you know, did all right at the weekend. He obviously had a very good rapport with the squad. It was really good to see some of the dynamics between him and some of the players. Yep. But fundamentally, I mean, you just mentioned the Leno situation. When we had two top quality goalkeepers, they're pushing each other every single day in training. 100%. We had that before that with Leno and Martinez. You know, again, two goalkeepers that are now number ones at their own respective clubs in the league. And you want to have a second goalkeeper that can go off into another top side and make a stake for a number one slot. And if you don't have that, like, why would you have two centre forwards or three centre forwards? We're talking about backups to Saka, you know, and Ramsdale was at his best that first season. We just kind of mentioned it when he came in, and he had a bit of an underdog. You got a bit of a chip on your shoulder. You want to try and prove that you're the one. And that pushes people on in training. That pushed Leno to be better. And then fundamentally, once Ramsdale got his opportunity, he never looked back. And then it was on.
You're right there, Jay. Sorry to cut. Let's go into this because Oba with a comment says, I think Raya will be the number one due to his distribution edge. And I want to ask you there, you spoke about Leno and Martinez, and that is a good comparison there. They did push each other, but in the end, one did, you know, Martinez wasn't really happy in the end and obviously moved on to Villa. So, but do you want to see that from Arsenal this season then? Do you want to see, like, you know, one playing Cup, one playing Premier League, and one might end up pushing another one out? Is that what I personally don't want that. I do want them to definitely push each other, but it would be nice if there was a nice balance between game time in Cups and league competitions, instead of just you play Cups, you play league, and then one be frustrated he doesn't get to play the final or whatnot if we ever make it there. Do you know what I mean? Well, how do you see it going about Arsenal in game time?
I think there's always the challenge that Arteta makes it almost overcomplicate things, doesn't he? There's been talk about kind of Raya's height in terms of maybe when you're playing some of the more physical side. So you're playing your Everton, for example, and you're going to get set pieces into the box, and you know that's going to be part of the game plan. Is Raya the one that you want in those sorts of situations? Maybe not. In some other games where maybe you're playing Kai Havertz up top and you want the ball to stick to his chest, Raya might be the person to do that for you. But fundamentally, like I said, you really want us as a squad now to start pushing on across the 4 trophies, across all of them. And to do that, we're going to need 2 top quality goalkeepers. So 100%. For me, there are minutes there for both of them. They both just need to, and they both need to give the manager a headache. I think for me, that it was really interesting listening to how Arteta spoke about Nketiah this week and how disappointed he was not to be picked and featured in the Community Shield. Yep. And kind of how he trained the week leading up to the Forest game. Yep. Came in, really stuck his claim and made a claim, for saying, actually, boss, you dropped me last week. This is what you were missing. This is what you could have had. And that's what you want players to be doing to the manager and asking of the manager every single week.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, it's a headache for the manager, but it's a nice headache because you've got players, top quality players, fighting it out for key positions in the team, and it can only enhance the team when you got that, because what you got is guys that are going to raise their levels. So you mentioning the Eddie, I also saw that interview, and I also read up on that, and you had Eddie looking to make a statement, and it showed on the pitch.
Which he does week in, week out. Listen, Jason, thank you so much for joining us, man. I'm sure I'll see you very soon, but thank you for your words. Big up, thank you very much.
Good call.
It was a good call. Jason's very, very, very well spoken, and I do like what he said there about the Eddie Nketiah. Eddie always proves himself. Anyway, I'll be honest, he does everything he can to keep that.
No, but as a manager, though, you want that, don't you? You want that from your players because as a manager, you are striving to get that extra bit from them, that last 2, 3, 4, 5. But these are all good players, yeah. But what you want is to get that extra little bit out of them, so that when they go on the pitch, they're going to give you everything, and that you can raise the level of the team. So ultimately, that is what's going to carry you across the line.
I'm massively intrigued to see the difference of when David Raya is in the side compared to Aaron Ramsdale. Because like I said, I believe there's not loads in it. I think that dynamic of him being able to command his box a bit more in catches and then maybe starting a counter-attack. But Arsenal don't play counter-attacking football as much. So it'd be interesting to see if with him in the side and he does them high claims or catches it and plays quicker than Ramsdale usually does, that might be another asset or another string to our attack that we're going to be bringing in with having him in between the sticks.
I'm going to say though that my reading of the situation, this is just my interpretation, so listen, feel free to comment on it as you please, but the way I see it is Arsenal have done a lot of work to get him in, and I think that they have looked at the way he plays his football, and his strength is in his distribution, the way he plays the ball out from the back. And I think that long term, that will give him the edge. That's just my personal opinion. But you know what they say, don't you? Possession is 9/10 of the law. At the moment, Ramsdale has the shirt, and he'll be doing his absolute utmost to keep it. And that will probably strive him to be better. So bring it on, as he said.
I wonder what Ramsdale changed in his game to try and keep him there.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting for me, the first time Raya does get a start.
100%, that's what I just said. That's what I said. I can't be very
competitions or a league game or whatever the situation dictates. The first time he plays, the scrutiny on him is going to be amazing. But I want to see how it works out, because that might be the moment, isn't it, that changes everything.
100%. Because that's what I saw when Ramsdale was in goal. I believe it was West Brom in the Cup. He played his first game, and he said the fans really backed him, and he said from there it was a turning point. So that first game, it has a lot of weight on it, so it'll be interesting. I'm very much looking forward to it as well. Lewis with a super chat says, Laurie, who would win in a boxing between you and Don Robbie? But this ain't really the...
You know what, I often get asked that question, and I'm going to say, listen, first of all, we would never fight. Well, I hope we would never fight. But listen, man, with my brother, I can tell you this from having grown up with him, man. He'll never back away from a fight. That's number one. And number two, he can look after himself. I'm not going to go any further than that.
I've seen you both, so I could give you the answer to that. But yeah, anyway, Touch of Awesome with a super chat says, to be honest, I think they will both be number one Prem and one for Cups. What do you think? Now we're going to discuss
Is that number one though?
Exactly. So we've got Tom waiting in the wings. I believe he's waiting there. So let's get Tom's thoughts on that. Hello, Tom.
Hello, mate. You're right.
I'm very well. I'm going to give you this super chat to answer. I mean, this is what we do week in, week out. But I'm going to throw it over to you, Tom. Touch of Awesome does say, to be honest, I think they'll both be number one. One for the Premier League, one for the Cups. What do you think? Do you think that's going to happen? And do you think that is that a number one?
Nah, I think Raya's coming in, man. His quality on the ball, he's better at Ramsdale in pretty much every aspect. To be honest with you, you've got to think he's in a Brighton team. They probably face a bit more attack,
more shots, and Brentford,
etc. But I have a feeling like it's just going to go perfect. I think it's going to come in. He's going to hit the ground running, and Ramsdale's just going to have to like sit back and watch.
How long do you think that will take, though, for that to materialise? I mean, when do you think?
Like Ramsdale's a high-risk goalkeeper, so there will be I feel like there'll be a big game. He'll make a massive mistake or something. He's very motivated. When he's got a good competition, he fights. So I think he'll get a bit of pressure. He'll do well for a while, and then there'll be a big mistake, and then Raya will come in, and I think you just can't knock him back off.
Okay, so this is what you think is going to happen. What would you do if you're Mikel Arteta right now? So you've got two strong goalkeepers in your arsenal. Excuse the pun. Would you make them go back and forth in different games in the Premier League, or would you actually do the Cup goalkeeper, Premier League goalkeeper? What would you do?
I'd probably start like that. I think Ramsdale, he doesn't deserve to just be put to the side. You know, he's done a lot for us, so I'd give him the opportunity. I just feel like Raya's a bit of a better goalkeeper, so gradually, naturally, he'll just come in and take over, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll start with a couple smaller games, and it will take a while, but I think by the end of the season, he'll be solidified.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's interesting because you've got the Champions League coming up in next month, September. So does the manager say, right, we're going to introduce Raya for the Cup games, or does he have the mindset that you're going to keep Ramsdale in situ for the time being until, as our caller said, he makes a mistake or he has a less than convincing game? That might be the opportune moment in which to bring Raya in.
I actually really think I don't think that will happen too much. Only since I can't think of a game where Ramsdale's had two stinkers. I think letting him have one bad game, it happens in the season, but having two in a row where you start one
less than convincing game and then you bring him straight in? Does the manager say, right, you know what, we earmark Raya's debut as the Champions League game?
Well, it's something they're gonna have to decide. But while Tom's on the call here right now, I do want to ask him, because you said about Raya's got better stats compared to Ramsdale. I want to ask you, how would he benefit or strengthen Arsenal with him between the sticks? Because this is the question I'm stuck on. You may not have any answer for this, Tom, but what does Raya add to the Arsenal side that Ramsdale doesn't? Or would you?
I agree in the sense as well. You've got to think Ramsdale, he's so good. Like, he's got a good relationship with all the players. He's a big face, a big character. The fans love him. So I do agree that I just feel like everything around Ramsdale, I feel like Raya does slightly better. Just slight little tweaks. His footwork's a bit better, coming out, collecting crosses. I feel like the one thing he doesn't lack, but Ramsdale's just so good with commanding and telling everyone what's going on and stuff. So I don't think it's much. I think it's small tweaks, but I feel like he just suits our play a bit better with the distribution. It's mainly distribution, to be honest. We're so big on that, you can see. Yeah,
fair enough. Tom, thank you so much for joining us, my bro, and thank you for having your words, man. Lovely to meet you. Laurie, so just with that, I do want to get to Edu's words as well, what he said on the signing, because I think it's quite fascinating. But
did Edu give you the heads up? Did he call you up and say, Did he tell you his rationale behind what's going down? I know you and Eddie were close, man.
But I don't. I'll be honest.
He didn't give you no inclination.
But I'm not asking. Our conversations aren't talking about transfers. People really want that. But
for those of you who don't know, this man's always name dropping Edu. Man. You know what I mean? It's like his brethren.
Because he's a very good guy. Big up Edu. Just quickly with a super chat here. Lewis says, "Do you think Havertz played down against Nottingham Forest?" I believe we'll get to that at some point, but we have got people waiting to talk about
that's a whole nother show, that one.
That is a whole nother show. So I do want to just talk about David Raya. Like, again, I asked Tom that question, who joined us just a second ago, about what does he improve? He keeps saying the distribution. It's crazy to think nowadays in football, isn't it, Laurie? That the positions you have to be
Football's
so
changing,
multiversed on everything. Like
Football's changing.
Goalkeeper, incredible with his feet, is so important. And when I was playing, that was never the case. Yeah, just clip it in the channels and be able to ping it out, mostly up the pitch and aim for your attacker. But nowadays it's so much more advanced. And I spoke about in the welcome video as well, that there's a clip of David Raya against Leicester where he's dropping shoulders on players.
I mean, listen, you can remember what happened at Man City when Pep first took over, didn't he?
Yeah. He got rid of
Joe Hart.
Yeah,
and people were calling him the best keeper in the world.
Well, this is I did liken this signing to that.
Yeah, there are similarities.
There is.
Where did Arteta come?
Oh, exactly that. He just come in and said no. Everyone thought Joe Hart was the golden goalkeeper, and then he said nope, this is how we're going to be changing up. It's what I want. Got rid of him, and obviously rest is history. You know how City are now. But I just think it is quite incredible that there's going to be a big conversation on who starts and what happens now with Aaron Ramsdale. I've got just some more super chats here, just briefly. One from Albilo Canero as well. Thank you very much for the super chat. We also do have someone waiting in the wings, and I'm just going to bring him up now. Ken, I think he was talking about a striker, but let's get... Hello, Ken.
Ken looks serious.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Lovey and Cecil. Yeah, Cecil, you might not remember me, but I met you at Crystal Palace last season.
Okay. I do remember your face. Are you going to be there come Monday? Because I'm going to be there Monday.
Yeah, I'll be there because I work there.
Oh, lovely. Well, I'll meet you there Monday as well.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you again, or see you again, my friend. But how are you feeling over this signing? What are your thoughts on the David Raya signing? I know you want to talk about a striker, but talk to me quickly on the goalkeeper.
I'm happy about the signing, but the problem I see, that I don't think we needed him, because I was happy with Ramsdale and with Ramsdale and the second keeper we had last time, Matt Turner. I was happy with that, because last season Turner didn't do that too bad for how many games he played last season. He didn't do too bad. Yeah. But for the space that we have left, I will have used that space to get a proper striker that would score the goals for us. Just imagine now, Eddie Nketiah just get injured in the next game, or something happens. God forbid it happens. Who's there to use? Because I don't think.
They'll say Trossard. They'll say Havertz can play.
Yes, I know that, but we need someone that can score the goals. We can't rely on Trossard. Trossard is good, but I don't see someone like Trossard or Martinelli giving us 10 to 20 goals. We need someone that can score the goals.
Havertz. Some will say Havertz. I don't personally think Havertz is that guy either, but some will say scored the most goals in pre-season.
But nevertheless, he does. The caller does make a salient point, because what you said there, I've heard a lot of fans say that. They said, listen, I would have preferred us to focus further up the pitch on a striker, because we were all right for a keeper.
Yeah. Do we need that?
So I hear what you're saying.
Let's move the conversation to that then.
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that I think that the manager has a certain idea of the way he wants to play going forward, and that's why I think that this signing is so important. Because I actually do think it's going to change the way in which we play our football.
Oh, wow.
Because we do play it at the back at the moment, but I think we're bringing in a guy that is seen as one of the best keepers in the Premier League at doing that. So I think if you look at the way this whole deal has come about, I think it's to incorporate that into the way we play going forward. I do take your point about the striking position.
Yeah, thank you. Because if we want to win the league this season, I think we need a proper striker, or we should keep looking and just give him a chance and see what happens this season.
Although I have to make the point, and whilst I do take your point on board, I also have to make the alternative point, is that we have seen the league being won by teams who didn't have that straight out number 9. So they've shared the goals around. In fact, that's something that we did quite well last season as well.
And also just like, listen, I actually hear what you're saying, but also there's the trust in Mikel Arteta that he's got in the bank through like simple things. Bringing in, he got Ben White, and we thought he was going to play centre back, ended up playing right back. That works. I think that transformed Arsenal in a sense as well. The likes of Saliba going on multiple loans when the fan base was screaming, get him back, we need him. Once he came in, he was ready. Arteta knew the formula and the time to bring him in. There's many other examples, players coming in, playing out of possession. Xhaka, shall we say, a player that I lost faith in, but Arteta stuck by him and made him He made him work for Arsenal Football Club. He gave him, one of the greatest things I've seen him play was last season for Arsenal, and that was all down to Mikel Arteta. So I also think that, yes, we need a striker, but also maybe Arteta's seeing something that we don't see. And I hate, my own ego says I must be able to see why we're doing this, but he's with the players every day. He knows how to get this team to the best they can be. And sometimes you have to have trust in him, but I think we want to strike.
Well, if you look at it logically, most teams will play that way, back to front, innit?
Yeah.
So that position there is a pivotal role within the team. And you're bringing in a guy, as I said, that is known for his ability on the ball. So that naturally is going to dictate the way you play your football. And that's why I think that this is such an important signing. But I do understand the caller's concerns.
Yes.
Okay. So I was going to quickly just move on, but I will just get your final thoughts on whether you think David Raya will be number 1 or number 2.
I think it will be number 1. I think it will be the same as what happened to Ben Leno. I think things will change this season. We'll see a change.
Okay, well,
this season.
Listen, thank you very much for joining us. I will see you Monday, I'm sure, at the game.
Yeah. Once again, before I go, I would like to invite AFTV to come and do some filming at AFC Croydon Athletics, please.
AFC Croydon, the new club set up. My friend's actually part of the board, the one that Stormzy and Wilfred Zaha are part of. Okay.
Yes. I'd like to invite you when Arsenal's not playing and AFC Croydon is at home. I'd like to invite you guys to come down.
My brother, I will probably be there. I'll keep it real with you. I'm around South London quite a bit, and I'm involved with a lot of the clubs there. So, and I have one of my coaches is actually part of the setup. So don't worry, I'll be there. If Robbie and Laurie may not be there, but I'll be there. But thank you for the invite, my friend. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
Okay.
So I've just had an update. In our area
breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. Breaking news. Lavia's release clause has been activated. Oh, no, Elise. Sorry, not Lavia. Sorry, Elise has been activated.
What?
Yes,
Palace,
I
Elise?
believe so. Yes, that's what I'm going to quickly just make sure I get up and get it all confirmed. So that's looking like quite serious. I believe it's
activated by who? Though?
Chelsea. I believe it's Chelsea. Let me just. I'm going to get up right here so I don't get this wrong, because this is a talking topic that. If it is Chelsea and I've been hearing rumours about this for a little while, but Caicedo, if they're getting Lavia and now potentially Elise, that will be unbelievable. It is Chelsea. They have activated his release clause. Wow. So I can't believe what these lot. I don't know if it's annoying.
How is this all making sense under FFP?
Financial fair play.
I mean, I know that the way some of the deals have been structured insofar as their long-term deals. So, for example, I think Caicedo, who they acquired yesterday, I think it's some 8-year or 9-year deal, isn't it? Or 8 years with the option of a further
9 years, with Caicedo. Yeah. So let me go into news. Fabrizio Romano here says Chelsea have activated £35 million release clause into Michael Elise's contract, deal advancing to final stages.
Damn.
Oh my days. Sorry, clause has always been there despite the denials. All parties will be in touch to finalise agreement. Elise already said yes to Chelsea. You know? I'll be honest.
Chelsea moving mad, bro.
I watched Chelsea and the intensity looked very, very good. Poch is a good manager. Let's not.
I did a watch along for that game, the Chelsea versus Liverpool, and immediately after the game, I spoke to my brother Robbie, and I was saying to him, he wasn't quite sold on it as me, but I said, "Listen, man, I've just watched Chelsea and Liverpool, and that game was a proper game, bro.
Yep.
Don't sleep on them two teams.
Do not. And some of the young players they're bringing through, some of the I don't know what it is. You can see the confidence in this. Compared to last season, there's a dramatic change already. And they've still got loads of players and they're getting more. I can't believe.
And let's face it as well, the crucial appointment for me was the manager.
Yeah. If he gets them playing.
And, we can all banter and talk about Tottenham and ain't won a trophy and blah, but we know he's a good manager. And to me, he was, I'm digressing slightly onto Chelsea. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to, take too long. But I just felt the need to say that Pochettino at Chelsea is a very good appointment. And they're showing in the transfer window that they mean business. I mean, Caicedo, man, come on, man.
150 million.
We wanted
ridiculous,
Caicedo.
But that's crazy.
Man. I know fans, Goonally, who wanted Caicedo over Declan Rice.
No, I know fans like that, Goonally.
You know what I mean? But, and now they've got Caicedo, they've got Lavia, and now they're about to sign Elise, who's another player whom I rate highly. So
Listen,
but hey, man.
Listen, Chelsea doing their thing.
It is what it is.
I respect Arsenal and the way they've gone about business in this window so far. They're not going crazy and blowing the market out and ruining it and basically inflating it by signing players for crazy money and a bunch of them on long contracts. So I appreciate that, but it does throw up questions. I like what the last caller said about, we should be looking at a striker. We now know that Timber might be out for a long time as well,
that could be a devastating blow for us.
Exactly, which is bad news as well. So that kind of sparks a conversation of, okay, you see Chelsea still doing business and being extremely active. Can Arsenal now go? And I feel like I'm being greedy, a spoiled child, because we spent so much in this window so far, but with the circumstances of the injury to Timber, we still need another recognised striker. David Raya, great signing, but can we do more? We can always do more. Yeah.
I'm sure Edu and his counterparts they're looking into the transfer. I'm sure they're on it. 24/7.
Yeah.
And if they can see the possibility of a deal, they're going to go for it.
Okay.
But listen, the market for strikers, it's so...
Yeah, it's slim.
Deep, man. Everyone's in the market for strikers, and it's it's shark infested waters. Everyone's in there looking, and hey, we just have to trust the club that can come up with something. Yeah, in the meantime, though, I do think that we have some striking options there. I've said all along that I do believe that there is a talent in Eddie. I think if we give him the opportunity, he can get the goals for us. Whether he'll get that 25-30 a season, now that's a slightly different matter. But we do have options. We've got Eddie, we've got Trossard. It would appear that the Balogun thing hasn't quite worked out for whatever reason. But, got Jesus to come back.
100%.
And hopefully we can get goals from across the team. We've seen with Martinelli, with Saka, with Odegaard, who got... he did some good numbers goal-wise last season. So we do have options here.
Let me go move the conversation on to what Edu, my mate, said about the signing of David Raya. So
is that what he said to you or what he said to the club?
No, I said this to the club. This is accessible to everyone to read.
All right. Okay.
But he said, we welcome David to us on a season-long loan from Brentford. David is a top-quality goalkeeper who has consistently performed to the high level with Brentford in the Premier League. With David joining us, we are adding quality and depth to our squad so we can perform at the highest possible level in all competitions.
Exactly.
As part of the agreement, there is an option to make the move permanent. David will wear the number 22 top. So there he said, he's going to strengthen his side in all competitions. So
that's facts.
Yeah,
he will.
And I'm sorry I keep going back to the welcome video. Make sure you guys go check this out straight after this live. You go and check it out. I mentioned that regardless of what you think of this signing, whether we need a striker, a defender, or another midfielder, this strengthens Arsenal's squad. This signing strengthens the squad. Absolutely. Regardless of what you may think, having a number 2 as strong as a number 1 will better Arsenal. So that is something I definitely wanted to highlight. And while we are here, we want to hear from you guys. I want to get your thoughts on what Edu said. All you got to do is join us on FANZONE, AFTV Plus app, click on and you can join us and have a say live with us right now here in the studio. But again, like I said there, Laurie, it strengthens the side.
Yeah, and listen, last week, as well as we did in the Premier League, it has to be said that we performed disappointingly in the Cups, right? No, let's keep it 100, man. Let's not beat around the bush. Yeah, we were disappointing in the Europa League.
Yep.
Going out to Sporting, personally, I was very disappointed that they were very, wishing to appear disrespectful in any way, shape or form. Sporting is a team that I felt Arsenal should have beaten and gone through to the next round. I'm not saying we should have automatically gone on and won it, but to go out of that stage of the competition to a team like Sporting, I was disappointed by that. Let's also be honest and say that in the domestic competitions, we were not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see us improve in those areas this season. So by strengthening the team, you would have thought that that will give us a better opportunity of doing well in the Cups, which, let's face it, fans want to win things, you know what I mean?
I think that's a very good point.
Fans want to win. It's not all about qualifying for the Champions League.
Yeah.
There's people like myself, old school fans, who really love, like,
no, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. The old school and new school fans. I know many new school fans that want to see pure armpits this at the end of the cup competitions. They want to see us lifting trophies.
As well as we did in the league, Last time I checked, you don't get a trophy for finishing second.
Of course not. But you touch on a good point in the fact that, you know, Arsenal in the FA Cup last season, that 1-0 loss to Man City at their place, we made wholesale changes. And yes, we competed with them, but the end result is we lost that game and we went out of the cup. I think now if you do what Mikel Arteta did last season in the FA Cup and made wholesale changes again, the side wouldn't be as weak. We'd probably win that game, especially with the competition we have now in each position. I do want to go to some of the super chats just briefly because I've kind of left them to the side, so apologies for that. Here we go. So Abilo says, I hope I'm saying that right, Raya in goal and Havertz up front, plan B. So I think he's obviously talking about, you know, long ball as a kind of a change in Arsenal's play if we have Raya.
It does give you options. But
I just think people... Can't Ramsdale do that? Maybe I don't know enough. I've watched Raya.
No, it doesn't mean
Ramsdale
to say
can do long ball.
Doesn't mean to say
Havertz.
you can't do it, Cecil. What it means is you're bringing in a guy that you have visions of how you want to play, and he is the best in that position, or certainly one of the best. You are strengthening in an area that is pivotal to you going forward. Now, listen, Ramsdale has not hit his ceiling yet. So it may be that, you know what I mean, under the tutelage of Arteta and the goalkeeping coaches and having that competition with Raya in the side, he might very well increase his ability in those areas to the point where he might surpass Raya. Yeah. You never know, you know what I mean? But what we do know is you've got two top class keepers fighting it out for the number one spot. And what I'm saying is that can only enhance the team going forward, because even Raya, if he does get into the team, right, and his levels drop, then you would imagine that Arteta's going to say, you know what, yes, we brought you in to do this job, but your levels have fallen below the expected standards, so we're going to bring in Ramsdale.
I just think Ramsdale is such a good professional. I don't remember 2 games in a row where he's dropped stinkers and I've looked to say, oh, who comes in next? I haven't since Ramsdale's been here, there's not been a time where I've gone, maybe we should start Matt Turner. All the only time I question Ramsdale is penalties. So this is why it confuses me, and it's a very intriguing signing.
It is very intriguing.
I think David Raya definitely does improve the level, but it does, like I said, add a string to Arsenal's bow in a sense that, yeah, when I now look at Ramsdale and say, oh, let's try, if we need to bring someone else in, at least we have David Raya there, and the level's not going to drop. So it is an
like I said,
one.
to me, my interpretation of this signing is it all comes down to the way the manager sees the team being able to play.
Yeah.
That kind of back to front, playing out from the back. It would appear that Raya is that guy. For me, it's going to be interesting to see how long he can it takes him to A, get in the team, and B, if he's going to keep that number one spot. I must. And C, how long Ramsdale's going to stick around, because
seems like the trend of it. Like once one keeper gets moved on, they go to.
Listen, man, Ramsdale's a top player. He's established himself as a top Premier League player, England international, and listen, he's going to have an ego. Yeah, we've all got egos.
Yep.
Top class professionals have big egos. If he is benched, it may be that he's going to look at it and think, listen, man, you know what I mean, I've got my long-term career to think about. I've got international aspirations. I love the club. However, I love myself and my career a little bit more. How long am I prepared to sit on the bench and wait for another opportunity? You know, a guy like Ramsdale is going to attract interest from top clubs, not just in the Premiership, but from across Europe.
100%. And he's going to
how long is he going to be sitting around thinking, you know what, this is not happening for me here, man?
He's going to want to push for that.
So that Arsenal loyalty, that love of Arsenal, I would imagine will be questioned at some point.
Yeah, and a lot of these players are going to be looking at, international.
And who can blame him, really? Because like I said, at the end of the day, you get one career. These guys have egos, and listen, everyone's got an ego. How long is he going to want to be number 2? And the same goes for Raya.
Yeah, because
if he rocks up at the club thinking that he's going to become number 1 at some point and it doesn't quite happen, he might be looking at himself and thinking, you know what, this has not quite worked out for me, man. I was number 1 at Brentford, playing every week. I've come to Arsenal in the expectation that I would get the number 1 berth at some point. It's not quite happened. I still believe in myself. If it's not going to happen for me at Arsenal, I'm sure I can go elsewhere. I mean, we're talking about a guy that represents his country, Spain.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really won honours for Spain. Listen, man.
They're both going to want that number 1 spot internationally as well. And do you know what, just quickly, I spoke about as well, if a goalkeeper, God forbid, does get into the lease, we can then look to our bench and say, you know, we're covered in that scenario. I think before with Matt Turner, and I like Matt Turner, he did mention his distribution with his feet wasn't good. It's something he had to work on. He mentioned that many a times, and he probably has progressed in it. Actually, he definitely has progressed in it, but to the level that this Arsenal team needs, I don't think so. I'm going back
on Matt Turner, by the way. Like I said, he's not done too much wrong. It's just that he wasn't quite at the level. Certainly he wasn't at the level that was able to unseat Ramsdale from the number 1 position. But hey, he's done well for himself. He's got himself a move to Forest, to a Premier League club. He's starting for them. So I wish him all the best in the future.
Definitely. Let me go back to the super chats. There is a poll in the chat, people, though. What position? I believe it says, one more signing left. Which one is needed? Now, we don't know if there might be 1 or 2 more signings left, but if there was going to be another signing coming through the door, what position do you think we need to strengthen?
That might depend on the type of player that becomes available, but I would imagine that most fans calling in, and please call in, I reckon they will probably say striker.
100%. Lewis Woodbridge back with a super chat says Raya will phase out Ram like Ram did to Leno. We've spoke about that as well. 40 aside with a super chat says happy with Raya signing, has good stats and good with the ball. Joining on 3 million loan also helps financially now that we need Timber replacement. And then Federer Jace with a super chat says we signed Timber because we needed him. Now we don't have him, we need to replace him. Whether it's buying a longer term target or getting a loan done. And I think that is very key. I think this came down to being a loan deal due to the fact that, you know, we haven't made any sales really yet. We haven't made many sales. So for financial fair play, we have to start getting rid of players to start bringing in more players.
With that Timber injury, which was so unfortunate, because I've got to say, of the 3 big money signings we made in the summer, Timber, Havertz and Declan Rice, I would say that Timber made the most immediate impact, right?
100%.
And now he's injured. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect the status of a certain Kieran Tierney.
Personally, I'll be honest. I think it will affect Arteta, and he won't be looking at a striker. I generally don't believe we'll be bringing a striker this window. I wholeheartedly believe that. I think we'll be looking now at either the midfield or another defender due to what we saw with Timber's injury. Just quickly before
Kieran Tierney, we were told that he may very well move to Real Sociedad. Newcastle are interested.
Newcastle, yep.
So it did look at some stage last week as if he might be on his way, but now, as I said earlier, with the injury to Timber, and it looks like he's going to be out for a while, the club may need to look at that again and think, can we afford to let Kieran Tierney go in the present circumstances?
Okay, so I'm gonna just read the votes, read them out. So far, 500 of you have got involved. It's saying a striker 67%, defender 21%, and midfielder 12%. So a lot of people have gone with the striker position. I think it's more that we need a midfielder now that everyone seems to be strengthening that midfield. Also, maybe cover for Saka. I think that's important. But also, I'm worried about this Timber injury. I really am. I think it's going to see him out for quite a long time. And he was a player that I felt quite transformative for Arsenal. He was so good in pre-season, and when I watched him play, even in the first bit of the Nottingham Forest game, he just was so comfortable, like he's been here for many years. So that is something I think Arteta and Arsenal will look to address. I do want to mention this as well before we kind of wrap up here on this live, that James said this. So big up James B. He said, Tierney, you never thought we'd need to replace that with a player like Zinchenko. But since Zinchenko's been at Arsenal, he transformed this Arsenal side, and people still want Tierney to be part of the side, but no one would ever thought Arsenal would reach this level of having Zinchenko playing left back.
But this is the point I was making earlier, Cecil, about Arteta. The way football evolves. You think you've got a settled squad, you think, all the moving parts are working in the right way, and then all of a sudden, the manager brings a player in, and you think, well, why did he bring him in? Because we've already got somebody in that position who's doing very well. But the managers have visions of how they want to play. So it's similar with Tierney and Zinchenko. Tierney was the man in possession of the shirt. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were saying, listen, man, you're looking at a future club captain. He's an established player, playing really well. You bring in Zinchenko and the inverted fullback system comes into play. And then all of a sudden, it's looking like Tierney is surplus to requirements. Add on top of that, Timber's come in now and pushed him even further down the pecking order.
Amen.
that's what I'm saying, man, about football. It's constantly evolving.
And constantly evolving and constantly progressing. And we need Arsenal to be back challenging again. But before, I just want to bring the last call. I believe there's someone in the green room waiting to have their say. Hello, my friend.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, bro. You good?
Okay.
I want to ask you about David Raya, just to kind of get your last final thoughts on this new signing at Arsenal. Do you think it'll be number one? Do you think it'll be number two? Is this a signing we needed? Are you happy with the signing? Few questions there. Let me know your thoughts.
I feel like Ramsdale has been very good last season. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can always kind of improve and stuff, but I don't really think it was a necessary signing. Ramsdale can definitely improve in some areas, but I feel like it's still like wasted money and wasted just energy on the wrong kind of position. But I would have preferred like a striker. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like we definitely need like another striker this season, especially now Jesus is out. So yeah.
Is it? Would you say it was wasted, or would you just say that you would prioritise another area of the pitch? Because to say wasted is quite a big call, really. Because Raya, let's face it, the stats back it up. He's a quality keeper. So can you say it's a waste, or would you say, you know what? Yes, Raya's a good keeper, but I would have preferred if we prioritise in other areas of the pitch, i.e. a striker.
I don't know what's the signing what's it gonna do to the team, kind of the whole energy, how it's gonna change energy, because even me thinking about the Timber signing, obviously yes, it's kind of, if I quickly just talk about Timber, I don't like the Arteta kept him on after the knock in the first half. Yeah, I feel like that was very unnecessary. Like I was screaming, I was watching the game, I was screaming it. He's down. We're up 2-0. There was no need for him to stay on the pitch. Like that's on Arteta. I feel like the obviously
to be fair to the manager, he said that he spoke to the player and he spoke to some of the physios and the professionals that in the back room.
I wouldn't risk it. He was down. He had a knock. Obviously 2-0 up. So that's very annoying. We're gonna see how long it's gonna be out, but
looks like it could be a bad one.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say to the about the goalie though, I feel like it gives off a kind of bad energy into the team. I feel like, because obviously Ramsdale had a very good season last year, and obviously you want competition and stuff. But for the goalie, I'm not really sure about like the goalkeeper position, and yeah, I feel like it wasn't really necessary. It wasn't really necessary. I would have still preferred like another like top striker in the team. I feel like that should have been our first target, definitely.
Definitely. Listen, Jeffrey, thank you very much for joining and giving your thoughts as well. Thank you, I appreciate it. And hopefully see you again soon.
Germany.
Big up,
Germany,
man. Big up. Hopefully see you soon.
I was wondering if it was German or Dutch, the accent, but okay. Apologies. It's
no worries.
Okay. What part of Germany from?
Okay. Hamburg.
Okay, big up.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Enjoy the rest of your week. We got Kian, I believe, the last caller here before. Yes, my friend. Hello, you well?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm very, very good. Just want to touch on this news here at Arsenal that David Raya has obviously been signed on a loan deal, £3 billion, £27 million option. How are you feeling about this signing, my friend?
I think to everyone, I think it's a bit of a surprise. Yeah. Just where this has come from. Obviously, it's a bit of left field, but obviously it's an Edu special. Well, I suppose that seems to be what he's doing at the moment. All these left of field kind of signings. I think the way to look at it is, I think the fact that it was a loan with the option to buy, I think the whole Turner situation was going to happen this summer when you look at it from the outside. Yeah. I think that's why we signed Raya, and we've signed him on a loan specifically to see if he meets the requirements we need. I think Turner probably wanted to go. I think after his performances in the Gold Cup and that, he probably in his mind probably said, here, look, I should be starting, I should be playing regularly. And obviously the move came then where he went to Forest. And to be honest, he was very good against us at the weekend. Mm-hmm.
I rate him. I think he's a good keeper.
He is a good goalkeeper.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why we signed Raya. And it's going to be interesting to see how he plays now, if he suits our style. Will he push Ramsdale now to an even higher level, which is looking forward. But as many people have said, I think other positions are a priority for us. And I think the striker position, yeah, could be one, but I think cover for Saka is a big one. I think obviously now cover for Timber is another big one. Yeah. Not necessarily midfield as of yet. I'd say mainly the other two positions are kind of the two main ones I would say at the moment.
Okay.
And I don't think really there is many strikers out there that we could get. The main one that comes to mind is obviously Ivan Toney, but he's not available till January to play anyway. So it is going to be a bit of a trickier thing. I do think the loan deal for Raya might have been done as well to maybe free up some funds for other recruitments as well.
Yeah,
that's possible.
100%, 100%.
I just think with Raya though, and I alluded to it earlier in the show, is that my sources, well, they're not my sources, but sources suggest that the club have been looking at Raya from as long as 2020, 3 years ago. And it could be that they've always had their eye on him and now they're in a position to get the player. So that might have hastened the departure of Matt Turner.
100%.
Yeah.
And I also think as well, as I was saying to Cecil, I think that the signing of Raya is pivotal because I think it's going to dictate the way the manager wants to play going forward.
Definitely. Listen, Kian, thank you so much for joining us as well and giving your final words on David Raya here at Arsenal now. And hopefully we're going to find out what happens. I think everyone's going to be very intrigued to see what happens with the goalkeeper situation. But thank you for joining us, my friend.
No worries. Cheers again.
Take care. Thank you very much for the call.
Thank you very much. And just a reminder to everyone that it's FANZONE here. This is about you guys. We're here to speak to you guys. All you got to do is download the AFTV Plus app. It's so simple, honestly. There's many of you watching. All you got to do is have a good camera set up and a good mic, and you can give your thoughts. It's so basic and simple, and that's what we want to do.
Even I could do it.
Exactly. And that's saying a lot.
Elliot, what are you trying to say?
Nothing. Elliot from Canada is a regular on FANZONE, and he's currently here in the UK. I'm going to try and bring him into the studio. So that's like
big up Elliot.
That's how we build a community here on AFTV and try and build a community on FANZONE as well. We want you guys to be a part of it. So please get involved where you can. I do want to kind of wrap up with a kind of closing thoughts of the day. David Raya, will he be number 1 or number 2? Will he push Aaron Ramsdale or will he replace Aaron Ramsdale? Is he a transformative signing? That is a question I'm going to leave with you guys. We also want to say that Elise, his release clause has been activated by Chelsea, another signing potentially happening from them. Also, Kevin De Bruyne, there's word that he's going to be out now for the next 4 months. Wow. And also, which is a long time, and obviously a massive player for Man City. And also Timber, he's looking like he's going to be out for a while with the knee injury that he sustained against Nottingham Forest. So that's kind of all the information packaged at the end of this live. But the main news is David Raya is an Arsenal player, a £3 million loan for the season with an option to buy at £27 million. Let us know your thoughts on how you're feeling on that signing in the comments below. And guys, we'll see you again very soon. Take care.